Welcome, everyone! Have you ever watched a sports promo and just felt absolute chills down your spine? Well, in today's explainer, we're diving into exactly how that magic happens. We are going to deconstruct the exact ingredients you need to craft an ultra-realistic, highly emotional FIFA World Cup cinematic sequence. You know the one, that heart-pounding, epic sports documentary style. We're going to break down the lighting, the camera angles, the pacing, and the raw human emotions required to build that incredible high-energy vibe from the ground up.
So think about it for a second. What makes a sports moment feel truly epic? It's not just about the game itself, is it? It's a completely engineered experience. Consider how things like dramatic floodlights cutting through the darkness, dynamic camera angles, and deeply human emotions all combine to create that unforgettable atmosphere. It's a very precise formula, and honestly, it tricks our brains into feeling the massive, global stakes of the moment.
To really understand how to build this kind of energy, we have to begin exactly where our cinematic journey starts. Just picture this. You're dropped into a completely dark stadium that's slowly starting to light up. Imagine the camera flying gracefully through the empty seats and gliding right down onto the glowing pitch. You've got thick atmospheric fog, you've got these majestic light rays piercing through the darkness. The entire purpose of this opening shot is anticipation. We are building this massive, quiet tension right before the storm hits.
Okay, let's map out this cinematic arc. The structure is basically 4 steps. 1. The dark stadium. 2. The tunnel walk. 3. The kickoff fast cuts. And 4. The fireworks finale. As you can see, this is a very deliberate, step-by-step journey, taking us from absolute silence to a totally explosive climax.
Starting off with Phase 1, building pre-match tension.
We kick things off with some very specific tension builders. The players are walking through the tunnel in slow motion. The camera gives us these super intense, cinematic close-ups of realistic human faces. You can literally see the sweat on their brows. You see the national flags draped heavily on their shoulders, and it's all framed by these incredibly dramatic shadows. At this point, it isn't just about football anymore. These hyper-realistic details take this massive global event and ground it in deeply personal human stakes. You can practically hear their heartbeats.
Now, the real secret to maximum impact here is contrast. On one side, we have the pre-match focus. It's slow, it's deliberate, painted with dark shadows and heavy anticipation. But then, on the exact opposite side, we have in-match chaos. The literal second that referee blows the whistle, we trade that slow motion for lightning-fast cuts, and we swap those heavy shadows for dynamic, high-speed action. Which brings us right into Phase 2, dynamic action on the pitch. To actually capture that feeling of total chaos, the camera work has to be incredibly dynamic. We're talking a mix of extreme close-ups, sweeping wide shots, and high-flying aerial drones. Imagine fast cuts that seamlessly transition between rapid passes, frantic dribbling, and these bone-crunching tackles, all grounded in realistic physics. By rapidly cycling through these different camera angles, you are no longer just a spectator in the stands. You feel completely embedded right there on the pitch with the team.
Moving right along to Phase 3, the slow-motion climax. Let's break down the actual anatomy of a perfect goal. There are incredibly specific physical mechanics required to make a cinematic goal feel weighty and real. Step 1, we see the ball spinning in ultra-slow motion. Step 2, the exact moment of impact as it hits the net. Step 3, the violent stretching of that net fabric, showing off realistic physics. And finally, Step 4, confetti suddenly fills the air around it. It's this beautifully engineered micro-sequence that makes a single goal feel like an earth-shattering event.
Right after that, we hit Phase 4, the raw emotional aftermath.
Because, let's be honest, the physical goal is really only half the climax. The raw emotional aftermath is what truly sells this whole epic documentary style. To make the stadium feel like it's visually and audibly shaking, you need a precise recipe of pure melodrama. We're talking overlapping slices of emotion here. Fans crying tears of joy, the coach shouting at the top of their lungs, teammates aggressively hugging, the goal scorers sliding to their knees in absolute disbelief, and the massive crowd exploding, just jumping with flags. Combining all of these raw reactions into one cohesive moment is what creates that unforgettable roar.
Now let's talk about how it's all put together in Phase 5, the technical polish.
A massive piece of this puzzle is depth of field. By using a technique that mimics an 85mm lens style, we can keep our subject, like the intense, sweat-covered face of a player, in razor-sharp focus, while beautifully blurring out the chaotic background of the stadium. This technique ensures our attention stays squarely on the natural movement and the hyper-realistic textures of the players. It literally makes the human element pop right off the screen.
And to get that incredibly high-end trailer vibe, the source material outlines some essential tech specs. We need 4K HDR lighting to make those stadium floodlights pierce the dark, lens flares for that dramatic optical realism, ultra-slow motion to stretch out the tension, paired with motion blur during the fast cuts to really convey speed, and above all else, realistic textures on the kits, the grass, and the faces. These aren't just nice-to-haves. They are absolutely mandatory if you want to transform standard sports footage into a cinematic masterpiece.
And finally, we reach Phase 6, the epic cinematic finale. The source material paints this absolutely perfect closing frame. We pull all the way out to a majestic, wide aerial shot of the stadium. The whole arena is glowing brilliantly under the dramatic nightlights. Fireworks are erupting in the sky, and the deafening sound of a massive, roaring crowd just fills the air. It brings the entire visual story full circle. From that cold, dark, empty stadium we saw at the very beginning of the explainer to a vibrant, glowing beacon of pure human passion.
Which leaves us with a pretty wild question to think about. With cinematic tech, 4K HDR lighting, and carefully engineered emotional storytelling becoming this incredibly realistic, will simulated sports eventually evoke the exact same passion as the real thing? When every single beat of sweat and stretched net can be perfectly crafted to trigger our deepest emotions, could a simulation ever truly replace the magic of a live, unpredictable match? It's definitely something to chew on. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.